Franklin Wisse. A pleasant good evening and welcome to Footage.
Thank you, Calvin. It's always a pleasure being with you.
How's everything going?
Oh, yes, as you know, today is a holiday in our country. Today marks the birth anniversary of one of our presidents, in fact, Liberia's youngest serving president, President William V. Stockman. So you can see the holiday euphoria has overtaken the country. For those of us who don't have much to do out there, we're sitting home. So you see me relaxing in my little corner.
Yeah, recently you led a campaign and for the establishment of War Crime Code. Will you mind telling a little bit?
Oh yes, like on November 12th, citizens, came up in their mass, and it was just a reaffirmation of what we initiated in May. The Citizens' Action for the Establishment of War and Economic Crimes Code petitioned the National Legislature for the establishment of the War and Economic Crimes Code and the unscrupulous implementation of its recommendations. So in May, when we petitioned the legislature, we also made a follow-up on May 22, because the petition was on May 8th. On May 22, we made a follow-up. And we also assured the Liberian people that we will come up in our numbers sometime in November, but without a specific date, to still, petition, our national government and other stakeholders on the need for the establishment of war and economic transport. So when we showed up on November 12th, it was just a kind of a reaffirmation, and it was in furtherance to what we promised the Liberian people in May.
And so where are you guys now?
Yes, we can say safely that we have come to a point where people have understood, or people are really beginning to understand the need for the establishment of a war and economic transport in Liberia. For too long have the governors of the state, taking our leniency for granted. For too long have been waiting on this our tendency of letting the sleeping dog lie and allowing people to go with it. We think the crimes that were committed during the Liberian Civil War cannot only be restricted to Liberia. They were gross human rights violations, and they are acts that actually attract the concerns of international and global communities. So today, people are like asking, why now? Why all these years we did not, push for this? But I can say to you that others pushed for it when some of us were not around. And a handful of people who were at the echelon of power, who felt they were indicted by the TRC recommendations, used their positions, their power, their authority to suppress the instrument, the TRC. And so nothing really came out of it. And today you find that even victims, of the brutal civil war are here languishing, and have got no attention. So it's not actually a matter of wanting to prosecute people who perpetrated mayhem and atrocities, but we are also seeking justice for the victims. How many of us are very concerned about some of these cases who were, rendered parentless as a result of the brutal civil war? Well, how many of us have asked what becomes of those children who are very, right before the naked eyes, their parents were maimed, raped, tortured? And you have these people, those who actually committed these acts, gallivanting in our premises and masquerading with impunity. But where is our consciousness? How can we, in such a civilized world, sit and have these people around without anything being done about them? So the quest for justice is meant to serve as a kind of a deterrent for would-be perpetrators. We cannot, allow these acts of atrocities and mayhem go unnoticed. We cannot sit here and allow them to go unpunished. Liberia, as you may know, is a signatory to a lot of international treaties, conventions. How can we be seen as a hub for gross human rights violations? And the sad thing is, the alleged perpetrators of these mayhem and atrocities are, around here chest beating and not showing any remorse for the acts they committed, as though if even they had an opportunity to do it again, they would do it. And you need to really be concerned about the countless, cases of murders in recent times. Why do you think people will just muster the courage to want to take the lives of other people? It is as a result of people saying nothing can happen after all. Others they here and they are hanging around and going with impunity. Maybe I will just go and have a day or a week in the South Beach and I'm out again. And then the person will come back again on rampage to perpetrate more of those atrocities. So we must save our country. We must save our society. We must build a kind of a barrier that will be good for our children and the other generation to come. We can't just remain tight-lipped on the issues of justice.
Yeah. Let's look at the state of economy of the country. How do you see our economy going?
Yes, frankly, the economy is nosediving. What I mean, it is shrinking. It is not favorable. It is troubling, and I think the government has got to, initiate measures, that will seek to address this very troubling situation. And one of the ways the government can save the situation or salvage the situation is to ensure that it creates, a kind of a conducive climate, a friendly climate that will attract investors to the country. You'll find that since the George Weah-led government took office, there has not been any form of investment in the country. You should expect, obviously, they will have a kind of a negative or an adverse effect on the economy. We have seen, or we are seeing a situation where some of the companies and investors are even folding up. They are a little apprehensive about the economic climate. How can you have a situation where people are reported of siphoning state resources and then they are here masquerading with impunity? Well, just saw recently a couple of guys being arrested for alleged bribery and whatever. What about the several other acts of corruption that have been committed here, and the people that committed these acts are here going with impunity? So you scare people away when you don't take stringent measures. You don't take very harsh measures to deal with issues of corruption. It will continue to hamper the economy. But if you were to ask me what do I think of the economy, what I can just say, our economy is shrinking, and the government needs to take very stringent measures to ensure that it can arrest these situations. Other than that, we could be headed for more serious and more damaging situations.
If you ask for a recommendation, what would be?
My recommendation is to Mr. President, wherever he is, if he's listening to me, he must deliver on his promises to the people. This is a president who is seen as a beacon of hope. People look up to him to deliver on their aspirations. One of the ways he can do this is to ensure that he sticks to the rule of law. Abide by the rule of law. I mean, apply the rule of law to the latter. Make sure people who will commit acts of atrocities and economic crimes are brought to the book and they are made to account for the deeds. They will begin to confiscate people's properties, people who siphon state resources, they cannot account for them, and we begin to confiscate their properties, and they are made to spend them. There's some time in jail until they can refund, what justly belongs to the people. You'll find that this country will begin to recover. Other than that, we will have a situation where people will continue to commit and repeat these acts. You and I were here, we heard about the situation of the locale, where some people took $25,000 and they said, it was a form of bonus. The president, just upon assumption of his office, set up a committee. You and I need to ask, what became of that particular investigation? What became of it? We can't keep playing with our people and then we say we have got a change. What change is that? If you come and want to be doing the same old thing over and again and expect different results, I will tell you frankly, it's just absolute absurdity. You're not going to get anywhere with it. I can see that President here is having so much of a challenge because most of the people who are in government today are his cronies. And he does not, or he's probably finding it difficult to muster the political will to deal with the screenings. But that was the same case with Madam Salif. You know, she brought imported bureaucrats here who were all in government, and then they could not, you know, she could not actually muster the courage to deal with them on issues of corruption and other forms of mischief. So, President Weah, I would say to you, you know, you have to put your foot down. You have to stick to your guns. You must ensure that you leave a legacy. And the way you can do that is to ensure that you bring people to book. People who committed human atrocities, people who committed acts of corruption must be made to account for the deeds. You cannot allow yourself to be seen as a failure. You are a beacon of hope, as I initially said. Everybody is looking up to you to deliver. When you fail, an awful lot of Liberians fail. People repose so much confidence in you. This issue of the National Housing Authority, you know, managing director and his deputy, who are personally, under investigation, must just be the beginning of other stringent measures you must take. People who siphon state resources and are right around here must be brought to book. You cannot keep shifting blame on Madam Salif's regime. It's belated. You promised the Liberian people that you will face the mess. The way to do that is to ensure that you conduct a forensic audit of the past regime, and then call a spade a spade. Let people who are supposed to be made to account for their mischief be made to account for them. You cannot continue to shield people all in the name of, we want to, let bygone be bygone and forge ahead. We said we will fix it. How do we fix it? How do you fix it when so much has been taken from the state coffers that cannot be accounted for? How can you fix it when investors are afraid to come and invest in your country because they see that you are encouraging acts of corruption, because you're not going after people who committed corruption, and that this is the way to right the wrongs, by making sure you strengthen your graft institutions to deal, with issues of corruption. So I would say that today Liberia is really, I don't know how to put it, we almost like doing the same thing, over and again. We're not giving meaning to the past. What they do for the war. You see, people said they were fighting against, bad governance, misrule, nepotism, cronyism, all of the, ism and the ills. You had the war, you brought the war, you unseated Doe, you brought Taylor. Taylor had to leave because the people said you are not delivering on your promises. And then Ellen came for 12 years, at least she brought some form of stability. But frankly, we must give her that credit, restored the country's image. But then again, our leadership was characterized, by corruption and unaccountability. So when you came in, the people's choice, the populistic leader, this is where you are supposed to restore the hope of your people by making sure you do exactly what they expect you to do. Okay? Other than that, my brother, I would say to you that I'm troubled, just as you are. Our country doesn't seem to be headed anywhere. We are like shrinking, and our economy is suffering a very serious setback. Yeah.
Okay. Finally, before I take the lead, there's a recent issue where the current city mayor of Monrovia took a former candidate of District Number 13, Montserrado County, to court for a Facebook post, a statement that was made on our Facebook page. How do you look at, where do you see our security center going?
Okay, frankly, I get a little confused about what has been obtaining, since that unfortunate situation in District 13, right? First of all, every Liberian has got a right to seek the recourse of law, especially where his personnel or integrity is being threatened or is being tarnished. Major Cody has got a right to go to court and defeat that he was falsely accused. But I've got fundamental issues with him. I've got serious problem with even Major Cody and other officials of government who left their basic schedule on that very day to troop their way in District 13. That is a gross violation of our Constitution and our Code of Conduct. Realistically, Section 5.1 up to 5.3 will tell you that our public officials appointed by the president are not supposed to canvass, campaign, or take part in political activities. Talk less of using government, let me put it, materials or equipment to campaign. You're not supposed to do that. So why did he go there after all? Had he not gone there, nobody probably would have accused him of carrying gun or carrying cutlass to kill somebody, allegedly. So you created a situation that warranted people accusing you falsely. You know, so I hope you understand what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
He had no business going there after all. I will say it any day, anytime. What was wrong yesterday, if it happens today, is wrong. I condemned a gross violation of the code of conduct under Madam Salih's regime. I condemn it under a George Weah's regime. And I will condemn it on any regime that comes to power that will want to grossly, defiantly, conscientiously, knowingly defy our laws. That is wrong. It was never wrong because it was Madam Salih. It is also wrong on President Weah. How can you? So Koji, as a matter of fact, a young major should concern himself with delivering on the confidence reposed in him by the president. A lot of people doubt his ability. A lot of people question his academic qualification. A lot of people feel he will not be able to deliver. I personally feel that he can deliver. I see him as, a patriotic and committed young man who has stood the test of time. And he has an opportunity now, to live his dream and not to, engage in acts of gross violation of our laws.